definitions of concepts, human rights, gender and inclusion, and disaster risk reduction in the school context. So, introduction to human rights. Human rights are the basic rights and freedoms that belong to every person, regardless of race, gender, and nationality, or any other status. So, regardless of whether you are American, African, or a Ghanaian, you still have human rights. So, they are the basic freedom that every human must have. For instance, the right to live is for everybody. Basic human rights principles. Human rights belong to all people equally without discrimination. Universality. Human rights belong to all people equally without discrimination. That means everywhere you are, you have human rights. Even if the government violate those rights, you still have them. So they are universal to everybody. Everybody have human rights. Inalienability. Human rights cannot be taken away or transferred even if government violate them. So as far as you are born, you are a human being, you have human rights. Even if they violate them, you still have it. No one can take it away from you. Interconnectedness. The fulfillment or violation of one right affects all other rights. So you can see here if a friend is hurt, the other friend is also hurt. So that's how human rights behave. When you violate one, you violate all human rights. So the fourth principle is indivisibility. No human right is more important than another. They cannot be treated in isolation. That means all human rights are equally important. No right is more important than the other. So human rights, you can't take some rights and say they are important, so you will not violate them and violate other rights. So you can see here that they are all equal. So none of them are more important than the other. Non-discrimination. Human rights should be respected without distinction or exclusion based on race, color, age, nationality, or ethnic origin, language, religion, sex, or any other status. So human rights, you don't have to violate or discriminate human rights, no matter what the situation. Whether the person is a child, whether the person is a woman or a man, the person is black or white, the person speaks English or French. You don't have to discriminate that person because of their race. You can see here you don't have to discriminate. Some people like fighting with women because they feel they are not strong. So that's against the human right. Don't have to discriminate human rights. So importance of human rights. Human rights reflect the minimum standard necessary for people to live with dignity and equality. So human rights are there to help people live with some respect and equality. So human rights, I don't know, those who want to learn. So human rights reflect the minimum standards necessary for people to live with dignity. That means human rights ensures that everybody gets the necessity to live with dignity and equally with others. So the second one is they provide freedom to choose how to live, express oneself, and support a government, among other things. So human rights give us or grant us the freedom to live how we want, whether we want to be. So some people want to be teachers, some want to be nurses, some want to be politicians. So the human rights will make sure that you choose what you really want. and support a government that you want, whether you want to support NPP party or you want to support NDC party. The right is the one that ensure that you have the freedom to choose among those parties and not forced into it. So human rights guarantee the means necessary to satisfy basic needs like food, housing, and education. So human rights make it possible for us to get access to needs like food, housing, and education, and also shelter, healthcare, and other things. They protect people against abuse by individuals and powerful groups, ensuring the person who hey, my God. They protect people against abuses by individuals and powerful groups, ensuring persons' full development and use of their qualities, intelligence, and conscience. So this will ensure that you'll be able to use your abilities, your intelligence and talents to develop yourself. So basic tenets of human rights. So they are the principles, the same as principles. So we have the universal ones. So they belong to all people equally. Human rights is for everybody. As far as you are a human being, you have human rights. Inalienable. Inalienable cannot be taken away or transferred. That means human rights is everywhere. No one can take it away. Whether you are in North Korea or you are in Ghana, even North Korea, the people don't have full rights. Doesn't mean that they don't enjoy their rights. Doesn't mean that they don't have it. They have the human rights, but they violate them. Even if your right is violated, you still have them. As far as you are a human being, you have the human rights. Can never be taken away from you. Interconnectedness, fulfillment or violation of one right affect others. So human rights are like best friends. When you hurt one, you hurt the other one. So you can't take one and be fulfilling it and violating the other. In general, if you violate one human right, you have violated all human rights. Indivisible. No right can be treated in isolation. Every right is supposed to be treated equally. All the rights are equally important. No human right is more important than the other. Non-discriminatory. So the right must be respected without distinction based on race, color, age, nationality, language, religion, sex, or any other status. So what this means is um, when you choose to serve human rights or not violate human rights, you must respect human rights with all people, not respect the right of white people and violate the human rights of black people, or respect the right of adults and disrespect the right of um, children, or you respect the right of Americans and disrespect the right of Africans or Ghanaians. So you don't have to discriminate or distinct the people that you respect the right to. You have to respect everyone's, no matter their race, sex, or language. So we are coming to concepts of gender and inclusion. So gender is a social contract defining roles, status, and expectation associated with being male or a female. So what this means is what the society holds of being a male or a female, the roles, what they expect from you as a male or expect from you as a female. And this differs from place to place. For instance, what is expected from male in America is not what is expected from males in Ghana. Maybe in America, maybe in America they expect that you should be able to buy a flat or apartment for your partner. But in Ghana, you must be strong and you must be the one providing for the family or have a job. So that is it. And maybe in America, females are not cooking is also part of, doesn't mean that you are a female, but in Ghana cooking is solely for females. So if you are cooking in Ghana, we can classify you as a female according to your gender. So it's what people expect of being a female or a male. It's not what you are born with. Someone can be born with male sex organs, but based on the things he's doing or the roles he's performing, society can call him as a female. Or maybe we know that females are generally scared or not emotionally strong. And you are a male and you are in that mood. You are scared of everything. You are not brave. We can say you are a female. So that's the gender we have assigned to you, even though by birth you are what? A male with male sex organs. So it determines what is expected or allowed and valued in men and women in a given context. So what is the underlying word is in a given context. So the underlying word is in a given context. So that's what I was saying. Right? No, not right. Gender is based on what the society. It depends on the society that you are living in. We determine the kind of roles and duties that they believe is for females and the kind of duties that they believe is for the males. So we are coming to gender-based violence, in short GBV. Gender-based violence is any harmful act perpetrated against a person based on socially ascribed gender differences. So what this means is that any action that is acted upon a person, and this is because of the person's gender difference. That's why the action is taking place or the violation is taking place is known as gender-based violence. For instance, we know that females are generally not strong enough. Because of that, you take advantage of their weakness and you start bullying them. We classify this as gender-based violence because they are it's because of their feminine gender that you violate their rights. So this action is known as gender-based violence. So this a picture depicting gender-based violence. You can see this man is trying to, I don't know what he's trying to slap his wife or his mate. And you believe if this was his colleague man, he wouldn't try to do anything as such. So this includes sexual violence, domestic violence, harassment, trafficking, and honor crimes. So sexual violence is like forcing someone into having sex with you without the person's will. And domestic violence means that the person you give all the roles to somebody because he's a woman. He must clean the house, he must clean everything, sweep, and he won't do anything. So this is domestic violence. Harassment means embarrassing somebody, like the person is not willing to have any relationship with you, but you are forcing it. It's not having a peace of mind. Always you are touching where you are not supposed to touch, and a lot of things. And trafficking means taking away people to go and do labor somewhere. For instance, the slave trade. They come to take away men because they are strong to go and work, and maybe they are not paid what they deserve. This human trafficking. And honor crimes. Honor crimes is like somebody is trying to favor you and he demands something against your will because of your gender. For instance, an officer in the office and you a female in the office, you just came, you want an employment and you say it's for exchange. Sleep with me and I'll give you the employment. These are crimes. So all these are what? Gender-based violence. So you can see harassment. Yes, this guy is supposed it's not supposed to be standing near to this lady. It doesn't like that. So this is considered harassment. So we are coming to gender equity. So gender equity means fairness and justice in the treatment of women and men according to their respective needs. So when you say something is fair, it doesn't mean that you provide equal treatment to them, But you have to examine who needs the help most and who need it less, and provide less to those who need it less and provide more to those who need it more. This equity, trying to identify the difference between the genders, men and women, and provide support according to their difference. Equity does not mean sameness, but involve different treatment to achieve equal outcome, ensuring everyone has the same opportunities to succeed. So what this is saying that it's not like providing the same thing to both genders, but it involves different treatment, like treating them differently based on their needs to achieve or arrive at the same outcome. Gender equality. Gender equality means the equal enjoyment of rights, opportunities, and resources and rewards by women, men, girls, and boys. It's like you are sharing something, so you should share it to everybody equally. If you are giving one, everybody should get one. This one is not like fairness. You don't consider who is hungry the most or who hasn't eaten since morning. You are sharing one bowl of banku, everybody is getting one bowl of banku. But if it was equity, you look at who hasn't eaten the since morning, and you give the person three bowls of banku, and give who has eaten breakfast, lunch, and give them one bowl of banku. So but this one is equality. You share the thing equally among the people. The main difference between equity and equality is equality means treating everyone the same way, giving everyone the same resources, opportunities. For instance, if you are giving pens, you give everybody one pen. It doesn't matter who's going to write plenty notes or who's going to write less notes. So this equality, you can see from here that this boy, the first boy here, is tall. It's very, very tall. Here, this one too is somehow tall, and this one is not tall at all. So you see that equality gave everybody the same height. It doesn't matter. But you see that with equality, this one is able to see, and this one too is able to see. This one too is able to see. But this one with equality, he couldn't see. So this equality, giving everybody the same thing. You don't care whether it will help all of them or not. So the main difference. So we come to equity. So here is equity. Equity means giving people what they need to achieve the same outcomes, which may involve giving more support to those who need it to create a fair situation. So what this one means is that you give the people what they need to succeed or make equal outcome. Maybe the outcome is to watch a football match in a field. So if one is shorter, you give him a tall table, and the one that is taller, give him a short table, so that they will all be able to watch the football match at the end of the day. It's not like equality that you give them all the same table, the same height. So you are providing more support to those who need it. So you see that the shorter people, you provide them with tall table. That's more support, so that they'll be able to see the inside the food. And you provide less support to the tall person. That means you get a small table for him. So this is equity. You see that this person is not giving anything at all, because without any support he will be able to watch this match, this game. But this person is also giving some a little support because he needs little support. So he gives them what they need. And this one is giving more support because without more support, he won't be able to achieve the outcomes these people will get. He won't be able to watch the match. So he gives them different support, in other words, for them to achieve the same goal. They say the goal here is to watch the match. So you give this person no support, give this person less support, give this person more support, so that they'll be able to watch the match. That's the outcome. So here you see the difference between equity and equality. Here equality is here. You see that this person, the table, the height is the same as this height and is the same as this height. All is equal. The tables, the height is equal. But the outcomes is that this person is not able to watch the match. This one is able to watch it, and this one more. So equity said that this person doesn't need it. Even without the support, he'll be able to achieve his goal of watching the ball. And this person too, with one table, he'll be able to achieve the goal. So he's given one table because he needed only one table. And this one needs two tables before he'll be able to achieve the outcome. So they are giving the tables or the boxes according to their needs, so that they can all achieve the goal of watching the game at the end of the day. Gender identity. So gender identity refers to a person's deeply felt internal individual experience of gender, which may or may not correspond to their assigned sex at birth. Gender identity is like what you believe you are, or what you want, whether you want to be a woman or a male. This may not correspond to what you were given by birth. Maybe you are born with male sex organs, but you feel like you should be a woman. You should be doing things women do. So this one is gender. You have identified yourself as a woman, even though genetically you are a male. So this is gender identity. So this is how you feel about yourself, or you see yourself, or what you want to be, the sex, the gender you want to be, either you want to be a male or female. And some, their identity may tally with their assigned sex. Maybe you are a male and you believe that you are a male. So this one is, there's no problem with that. But someone is a male and maybe you feel like you should be a female. And maybe you are born with female sex organs and you feel like I'm a female. So you identify yourself as the same as the sex you are having. But someone is born with feminine gender but he chooses to act like a male. So we have the main types of gender identity. How you see yourself. There are types of how people see themselves or themselves. So have cisgender. When a person's identity matches their sex assigned at birth. So when you are born a male and you also see yourself as a male, this is gender because and you are a male, you were born a male and you see yourself as a male. So you see that it's tally with what you were born with, the sex organs you are having. If what you believe in your heart is really what God gave you, that's cisgender. And you have transgender. When a person's gender identity differs from their sex assigned at birth, like some people, they are born males but they act like they are females, they see themselves as females. Maybe they don't want to be males, so but they are born with male sex organs. This transgender, that means what you believe you are doesn't match what God gave to you at birth, or it doesn't match the what the sex organs you are carrying. So that's transgender. So you see some photos of transgender people here. You see this person is clearly a male, but he believed to be a female. So nobody can stop it. That's transgender. That means what he believes doesn't match what is he was given. He's having all male sex organs, but he still acts like a female. And this one too, the same thing. He identified himself as a female. Like this hair like this is not for males, but he's having it. That means he wanted to be a female, but what he was given at birth is different from what he's now showing right now. So that's transgender. That means you have been transformed from your original gender to something that you were not given at birth. So we have the third one, non-binary. Non-binary means like your gender is not part of any of the two genders. You are having a gender that is not a male or a female, but you are having a gender. So the problem is you are having a gender, a third gender or fourth gender, nobody knows. But you are not a male and you are not a female. So the gender doesn't match what everybody know to be either a male or a female. So that's why I say non-binary. We all know that gender is two, either a male or a female. So this is what we call binary. But you are not part of all the two, but you are having a gender. So this the people call non-binary. So the literature said when a person's gender identity doesn't fit within the traditional categories of male or female, so it doesn't fit. They are neither males nor females. So gender curious. So this one is part of the non-binary. So it's the same as the non-binary. This one, the identity are not exclusively male or a female. They are not males, they are not females, but they have gender. So we have gender fluid. When a person gender identity change over time, for instance, today you are acting like a man, tomorrow you go and get is it weebum or that hair and get something for your breast. Now you are now a female. Over time you change. So your own is unstable. It keep on changing. Yeah, chameleon life, you change colors every time depending on the situation. So these people are the people called gender fluid. They change their gender over time. So the last one is agenda. When a person's gender identity as having no gender, this person doesn't care. Even whether it's a male or not, he doesn't even know. He doesn't want to be he doesn't want to be a male or a female. He's not having gender at all. All he needs is to be a human being. He doesn't need any gender. So this agenda. Women empowerment. Women's empowerment means giving women the power and opportunities to make decisions about their lives and participate fully in society, ensuring they have equal rights, education, and economic independence. Like this means that to empower women, basically to support women to also get some power to the level that the men are having, so that they will also be able to get equal rights, like what the males are allowed to do, they should also be allowed to do the same thing. The schools that males are allowed to go, they should also be allowed to go to the same schools. And when talking about economic independence, that means as we know, males are generally independent. Males doesn't depend on anybody. They work for themselves, and we want to empowerment aims to support women so that they could also become independent, build their own houses, have their own cars, and will be able to buy anything they want without requesting anything from anybody. So this is what we call women empowerment. So gender mainstreaming. So gender mainstreaming involves integrating a gender perspective into all stages of policy making, programs, projects to promote gender equality. So what this one is talking about is like when you are going to form a policy or a program or a project, gender mainstreaming is like thinking about how it will affect both genders before you make the policy, or thinking about how your project will favor some people and will not favor the others. For instance, you are trying to build a urinary in the school and you choose to build some urinaries that males stand and urinate inside, and that's the only urinary you are going to build in a school. So you are not practicing gender mainstreaming, because you know that this type of urinary you are building will not favor some group of gender, but you decided to build it, so you are not following gender mainstreaming. So someone who's following gender mainstreaming will think like, this urinary I'm building, I must build a urinary that both males and females can urinate inside. Like the effect it can have on both gender should be considered before you do anything in life. That's what gender mainstreaming is all about. Incorporating the effect of what you are going to do, how it will affect both gender into your activity or your policy or whatever you are doing. So it involves integrating concerns and experiences of both genders into legislation, policies, and programs. Like the concerns, what the women are concerned about. When you are going to the parliament going to decide on something, they should look at what the women are concerned about and what the men are concerned about, and also be able to make laws that will favor both genders, not to make laws that only the females will be happy and the males are not happy about it. It is affecting them negatively. So come to gender transformative approaches. Gender transformative approaches that seek to change social norms that limit opportunities for women and men. They promote more equitable relationship and social norms. So what this one is talking about is like there are approaches like activities or processes that are taken to what make sure that what the society is holding or the misconceptions that the society is holding that is limiting women from accessing some opportunities or from gaining some opportunities like education, freedom, like for example, the taboos that are limiting women from doing certain things. So gender transformative approaches are the approaches that want to erase or want to eliminate those misconceptions, the norms, the taboos, and make sure that what women can do, men should do it better. So that's what you know I mean by gender transformative approaches. So these approaches aim to address the root causes of gender inequality by enhancing access to resources, technology, and markets while challenging the social context that enable inequality to persist. Like these approaches or processes, they want to address or they want to solve the problem or the root cause of gender inequality. So by enhancing like promoting access to resources, technology and markets, by challenging or by disapproving what the society is holding that and make inequality persist, like continue to happen. So they want to eliminate those beliefs and practices that will make inequality to continue over time. So this is what we call gender transformative approaches. So they are approaches that want to do away with the societal behaviors or practices or taboos or this thing superstitions. So gender stereotyping involve unfair attributing qualities or abilities to a person based on their gender. Like you just get up and say, oh, like a boy is sweeping, then you come and say, hey, you pa, what are you doing? This is sweeping is for women. Like you are attributing the work to women. It's not fair. Like assigning some work or roles or attributes to a certain gender. For instance, when we are saying we should go and pack blocks for something like in the school context like this, then the females will just stand up and say, this one is for boys, it's boys' work. This stereotyping is not fair. You don't have to assign certain work to and a certain gender. This will break inequality in a society. Everybody must be doing it. Everybody is a human being, so every work is for everybody. Cooking is for both men and women, sweeping both men and women, construction both men and women. So you don't have to stereotype some gender or attribute some roles and responsibilities to a particular gender. Harmful stereotypes limit personal development, career pursuits, and life choices. Like when you stereotype or assign some roles to certain people, it limits their ability to pursue careers. Let's say the person could have, a woman could have been a contractor, but because parking block is for males, so you see that it limits the women career. They cannot be contracted because you will know that it's not for them. Or you say for males, cooking is for females. It's not for males. So you see that a male will feel ashamed or will not like to go into home economics to do anything of home economics because it's not his work. Are you getting it? So stereotyping is like attributing some roles or duties to some specific gender. So that's not good at all. It will not help to promote gender equality in the society. So we come to inclusion. Inclusion involves integrating individuals into a larger group, ensuring equal opportunities for all, like including everybody, whether the person, no matter the situation or their condition, they must all be part of what others are doing. So you have to, before you include somebody, you just can't just say, come and sit down. That's not inclusion. Inclusion is the practice that will make the person you are including comfortable, or he will feel like I'm also equal to the people I'm learning with, like a cripple in a class. If you just leave the cripple sitting and you are teaching your teaching, you are not including the person, even though you allow the person to enter the classroom, but it's not inclusion. Inclusion is when you provide the necessary things that will make that cripple feel like, oh, I'm also part of the class. Like I'm also equal with the people in the class. What they can do, I'm also doing some. Like, right, you are asking questions, but you ask all the questions, you didn't ask the cripple. You feel like, oh, I'm not part of them. Why is he doing this and I'm not part of it? Or maybe a blind person is sitting there and you are dictating to the people, or like someone who can hear and you are dictating to the class. You are excluding the person totally because dictating, he can't hear anything, but you are dictating for them to write. So you are telling him not to write. Indirectly, you are telling the person not to write. So you are excluding it. So before you can include that person, you have to write boldly on the board for everybody to write, knowing that some people will not be able to hear what I dictate. You write on the board to include the person who can't hear and to also include someone who can see. You can use sunglasses, you can prescribe some sunglasses for the person to be able to see. But if the person cannot see still, then you choose to, if you write on the board, they have to read for the person to write the same thing that you have written on the board that others are writing. You have to read it aloud for the person who can see well so that he can write. So in this case, you are including that particular person. So concept of disaster risk reduction. So this concept is like we want to reduce the risk of disaster happening in the school context. We want to minimize it even if you can't stop the disaster from happening. Like the risk, it's not like the disaster shouldn't happen, but the risk it can cause, the harm it can cause to the school, you want to reduce. For instance, you can't fire outbreak, you don't know when there will be fire outbreak. So in order to prevent or to reduce the risk, you provide what? Fire extinguishers in the in various blocks or classrooms so that in case there is fire outbreak, the risk of harm will be reduced, or the number of people who will be harmed and to the extent that they will be harmed will be at minimum par, to not be so severe. So some of the literature is saying disaster risk reduction is in education. Education builds understanding of the causes, nature, and effects of hazards, while fostering skills to prevent and mitigate means to reduce or minimize the effects. The key concept in this topic is disaster. So a disaster is a sudden event causing great damage or suffering. So sudden, like unexpected, you don't know it will happen, and it just happened and it's causing harm to people. This is disaster. So risk is like the possibility of something bad happening. So let's say fire outbreak. The risks that people will be burnt or food or substance will be burnt is like the level of possibility. Like if there's no fire extinguishers, you see that the risk will be so high that if there is fire outbreak, things will burn and people will die. But if there is extinguishers, you see that the risk will reduce, even though there's disaster will happen, but the risk that and the harm will happen will be low. Like it will reduce the possibility that people will be burnt in the fire outbreak. So hazards, potentially dangerous situations. So any situation that is like can harm people is called hazard. For instance, um, fire outbreak is a disaster because there's a high probability that or possibility that it will cause harm. So it's a hazard. So resilience. Resilience is the ability to recover from difficult situations. For instance, um, you are running, there is a storm coming, a windstorm. You are running, you fall, and you see that what the storm is bringing is very severe. So you have to be resilient. Don't be easily broken. So you have to get up in that situation and start running again. So this resilience. So the ability to recover from a difficult situation, or maybe the hazard has caused some harm to you, but this doesn't cause any emotional something to you, so you are able to recover fast. This resilience. So you see, this tree is resilient, even though the wind is blowing very strongly, but it doesn't want to break. The tree is resilient because it's able to resist or stand firm in the face of adversity. So we come to preparedness. So all this like resilience and preparedness will help reduce the risk of disaster in the school setting. Being ready to deal with disasters. So you have to be prepared in the school to, in case of any disaster, you can battle it. So mitigation means reducing the severity of a disaster, minimizing the what severity or the impact of disasters. Like first aid like this, someone just got burned, you rush and get some first aid and prevent the severity or reduce it, the pain, so that the person will not be burnt all that way, or something is burning. So you get extinguishers, you can quench it so that even though it was going to burn the whole dining hall, but it has only burned some part of it. So you have reduced the severity with the extinguishers. So that's mitigation. Vulnerability, susceptible to harm, like susceptibility to harm, like you are just prone to harm. Anything can harm you. You are fragile. Anything that happens, you don't have anything to resist. You can't resist it. So the people who are vulnerable are like they are anything can harm them. They don't. You are always at risk. You can't defend yourself in any way. You can't resist anything that comes on your way. Anything that comes on your way, it will harm you. So you can see this kind of people, the children and the women, they are always vulnerable. So capacity, the ability to change situations. So ability to change situations like um, how to act quickly to be able to convert a bad situation to something better. For instance, the thing is something is burning, but the action that you need to put in place to stop the burning and so that it will not burn a lot of things is the capacity, your capacity. So capacity is your ability to what act quickly, or the actions you can take to what minimize the impact of disaster.